Okay, today we're going to do a pork loin. So in this video, something new, something different. Now this is the whole pork loin, the Packers cut. It comes cryovac. You can also get this at Sam's Club. Now, the reason we're doing this video today, there's a multiple amount of reasons. One is this thing is dirt cheap. For the amount of meat that you get here, it's absolutely phenomenal. So normally you can get like this half, it would be this side of it. You get this on sale all the time at your local grocery store. Well, this is the whole cut. Now, the reason for that is it's super cheap. But I got two of these I'm going to show you today and do different cuts. You can do, again, whatever you want with it. But this one here, we're going to make this smaller width one. We're going to make this one into your actual roast. And then the other part of this is what you'd use to chop up, make some stir fry. Or, you know, hey, some sausages, grind it up and season it for some morning breakfast sausage, whatever you want to do. But that's this side of it. So this is called the lean side. I know there's a fat cap on this, but you'll see when I flip it over. There's not much fat going through it, but as you get to this other end here, you're going to see fat striations going through the end of the meat. So if I flip this piece over, you can see how lean it is on this side. All right? So what we're going to do is we'll just kind of find a spot to cut it out and leave this one as a piece that's whole for my pork loin smoking roast. And I won't need to square this one up or anything. And then the other one, when we get it on the table, we'll be doing that one because you'll see the difference. It's a lot wider. I'll put a steak next to this later to show you. And you're definitely going to see the difference and why you want to use the other one and cut it up for pork chops. We can also do, you can see here, that's clean. We can also do some short ribs, boneless ribs. And I'll show you how to do that as well. You can butterfly this stuff out, whatever you want to do. So we'll show you a couple different ways today. See there how the fat goes through the middle? Now this is going to be your tougher side. So with this, again, you chop this up, make this into breakfast sausage, stir fry, what have you. So that's what this side's for. And you can see where that vein runs right through it of fat and then goes around to the top. So that's the difference on each side. This part's the one you buy at the grocery store. This is something usually you get in the whole. You might get this ground up or chopped up. Your butcher puts it out there for you. That's what you're getting, is this. Okay? Pre-seasoned or not, whatever, what have you. But somebody already did a really nice job of trimming the fat off this. Again, this is a Sam Club piece. This is the smaller one, under $17 for this. You can't beat it. I think it was like $1.97 a pound. I'll confirm that later. But you can see the knife marks here from somebody else. The butcher trimming this at the slaughterhouse really well. Maybe a secondary house. They've already cleaned this up. So this amount of fat you can just leave on it. It will render under the proper heat. And it just adds a ton of flavor to it. So that's where we're at here. And later on, when we get ready to do the next one, I'll let you know the exact weight on both of these. And we'll go from there. So just take this. This is the easy part. Again, you can follow the line. It might be the easiest thing to do. Here, it starts coming up. Over here also. Okay? So if I wanted to make a nice size one, I can just cut that right here. Now you might get this whole thing, and you might want to not go to Sam's Club. You might want to just go to your grocery store and get this. Heck, cut this up to your pork chops. Or, like I said, make boneless ribs out of it. Butterfly it. You know, make little petite, thin, really quick pork chops if you just need something for breakfast or what have you. So that's another option. What we're going to do is take old Bertha here. Big Bertha, old Bertha, whatever you want to call her. I'm thinking that's probably the roast I want for me. Now you can go further like this over to here. Okay? And then just use the rest of this for your trimmings and making the trimmings for your ground pork, whatever you want. I'm thinking for me, this is where it starts to taper down. So we'll just, look at that beauty. Sharp knife, and you can look in there. See how lean that is? Not a lot of fat, some marbleization, but that'll stay that way. And I'll freeze this or use it right away. Whatever I'm going to end up doing, I don't know. And then the rest of this, you can see it's still pretty lean here. We could probably even get one more out of it. I'm going to go ahead and, since I'm going to chop this up anyway, I'm going to cut it here where it tapers again and see what it looks like. So we'll set that aside. Then we can get this big one all the way up on here. Now to me, I can see on the side, it shows you before the fat's already running through there. but it might still be fairly lean. So if I'm gonna do it, don't talk about it, cut it, right? You can see the fat starting to run through there. It's a lot thicker, it's white. I'm looking at it myself too. But you can see how white it is as opposed to that. That is much more, whatever you want to call it, pinkish, you know? Believe it or not, even though they ran that campaign, I was shocked myself to find out that pork is actually a red meat, even though they advertise it as the other white meat, because when you cook it, it turns white. In fact, it's red meat, so there's something else for you to talk about with your friends, argue about, who cares. So for right now, I'm not 100% what I'm going to do with that whole thing, probably chop that up. But for sure, with this piece, you can see how it's turned really white in there. You can see it's almost translucent on the edge. This will get cut up, and we'll set this piece aside for whatever, you know. And don't get me wrong, if you want to have a little bit of a tougher meat, you want to do something else with it, do it. That's what I say. So I can also, you know what, let me show you on this piece. If you take this, just for what we're going to get down to, and you want to butterfly it like that, okay, you can lay that open like that. You could actually leave that, and you could take this piece, okay, you can really see it's a good shot anyway, the fat running through this here, so this will be tougher. And you can just go like this, you don't go all the way through, okay. Now guess what, you just got yourself some boneless ribs, okay. You can cut a little deeper if you need to, just kind of showing you what you can do with it. This one I'm going to cut up in the chunks, but you can see there, you know, you just season it good, and you can either put it in your oven and then your dry rub. I have my own custom dry rub I use, or you can actually then add barbecue sauce as it goes, or throw this on the smoker, and that side will stay whole. And then when it's all done and set and cooked, this just keeps everything together. It's also done this way for keeping the moisture and everything else. And then you can just cut them up when you're done and ready to eat them. They're nice little boneless ribs. It's all meat. You don't have to worry about the bone, and you're really getting a full cut of meat. It's beautiful. So you don't want to cut them before that, because again, it helps hold the moisture in, make sure everything gets evenly cut. But that aside, see, there's your rib. So imagine that. Look at that. Can you imagine that? You know, St. Louis ribs are beautiful like that because there's so much meat on those versus a beef rib. But in this case, that's what you would get cooked down, and it's just pure enjoyable meat, no bone. So you don't have to buy an expensive meat grinder either, folks. Harbor Freight, I think, has them cheap. You know, you can get a knockoff. You can just, if you got a KitchenAid mixer, they make an attachment. That's what we use. It doesn't have to be fancy. And in fact, the attachment's super cheap. The KitchenAid itself's the one that's expensive, but you can even get those refurbished. You know, might have just been something broke in the box during shipping. Somebody sent it back years ago. That's what I got. My old man bought it for me. The same awesome old man taught me to cook. He bought me my first KitchenAid mixer. I was very thankful for it. One of the best gifts I've ever gotten, other than having an awesome dad. So I wanted you to know that, because it's important to me like he was. So I really cherish it, and if you get one, if you're going to buy it for yourself, you don't have somebody awesome enough to buy one for you, then you can get one, you know, for like half the price refurbished, and that's what I preferred. And the attachments are extremely inexpensive. You can get the stainless ones, or you can just get the cheap plastic attachments too. So everything here is on a budget. That's the idea of all this for you. The reason I stopped cutting right now is I want to show you how much redder this meat was. And you can truly see it is a red meat. And you can see how much more pinker. But we're also coming out of that fat. So look at the difference. It's huge. So that's going to be that. Again, you're going to say, wow, this looks very similar to just doing the beef. It is. Except for when we start cutting pork chops. Those aren't going to be steaks, they're going to be pork chops. Okay, so you can see the pile of meat I got out of here for trimmings. So what I decided I'm going to do with this lighter one, I told you I wasn't sure yet. I'm going to go ahead and do what I just showed you. And because of the coloration in there, these will be perfect low. Okay, so after I showed you and cut all that up, I decided that's what I'm going to do with this other half here. I could have got 2 nice roasts out of it, but honestly, I think this is a good candidate for doing those short ribs. So again, we'll just slice down the middle here. And we'll lay this back. Like that. Okay. And we're just going to cut these across. Doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, this one really isn't perfect. That's okay. The other one I did, I look professional. Okay, so we'll just leave these like this, and I'm going to seal it like this. So this will be, it actually makes it look better like a rib like that. Looks like an actual St. Louis style rib, the way that got cut. So that'll be good for that. And if I change my mind, I can just cut it up into the chunks I was going to do anyway. So there you go. I kind of just rolled that one over because when it rolled, it kind of cut unevenly. But that's okay because now it actually looks like an actual rib. So if you wanted to present it like that, I would suggest that's the way you cut it. Alright, and then the last one. Here you go. That's already done. So this piece will stay like this. This will be my roast. I got my ribs, and I got my pile for grinding, or to making some pork stir fry, whatever. But I think I'm gonna probably grind that up and use it as sausage patties. So that's number 1, all done. Okay, so here's number 2, and I said I was gonna show you how much wider this is. It kind of is on one end, but yeah. Let me get number 1. So we got Ling Lang number 2 next to Ling Lang. What's left? Number 1. And you can see this has a thick core, but it's not as wide. So we're gonna just cut this one into the pork chops that we wanted and we talked about. We'll flip it over, take a look. You can see this is definitely, this fell out. Somebody had already trimmed all this up, of course. And this is our tougher end, but there is no bad end on this, especially for 16, 17 bucks. So this is gonna be the other end of it, and we'll get those out of there and cut this up and make it all happy. So you're all, what's a Ling Lang? Well, you know what? It's funny. I have a skinny white cat that gets like this, and when she stretches out, I call her Ling Lang also. She's probably longer than this stretched out, but it's like a Ling Lang. That's just my terminology. So perk loin, Ling Lang, whatever grabs her or floats your boat, you know. So you know what I'm noticing in this one, the reason I'm hesitating is I have a flatter end here, and then I got a nice belly in the middle. So I'm probably going to cut this again, cut this end piece off, and look at how the meat looks inside, because I like how thick this is here, and this is kind of planing out and being a lot thinner. So let's check that out and see what we got. You can see his wider meat. Again, that's because of the you know, the fattier end. And we may end up doing, like I said, I did the one in the ribs, but I think I may end up doing maybe this too in the ribs. We'll see. So, and then you can see here again, this one is a lot longer, and you can see there's nice thicker like pork chops there, and you can see how this widens out. This is what I was talking about, but when it was rolled up off camera, it definitely looked thicker too. So now I have a determination to make. Do I want to make this one into my pork chops from here, and then use this for the roast, and go back to the other one? I have those options. I have any option available to me. So what we'll do is, if I'm going to keep this as a roast or pork chops, whatever, we're going to cut this here. That silver skin, always making your knife look dull. We have, these are nice. See that? I really think I want the pork chops out of this one. You can see how beautiful it is. Okay, That is a prime candidate for pork chops. These, still the good meat. This is still a good side. This might be better for a small roast. Maybe even trim this up a little bit. But you can see there's still some decent meat right there. You can cut up in the pork chops. I'm not saying that you can't. I like how this is shaped better. So let's cut some pork chops since we haven't done that yet. Okay, so back at it. I had to sharpen the knife a little bit just to make sure I got a good edge, because I want to make sure these are good. So these, I don't really like thin steaks because they dry out, pork chops. So with pork, when it's this lean, you know, you can go a little thicker. Okay, and that's better for these. The other thing is you got to have patience with thicker pork chops, okay? Don't go throwing them in your dang frying pan and then for 5 minutes aside and think it's going to be cooked. You're going to be really disappointed. Trust me, I know from experience. And then you end up nuking it because you're hungry and just want to eat it. It's late at night. So, cut these thick. I mean, you can cut them thin if you like that. If you want a dried out piece of meat because you like carne asada, Mexican style carne asada, that's dry as heck. Personally, I like juicy carne asada. But I've had it all growing up. And I can tell you one thing. I like my meat juicy. So if you want it dry, that's your prerogative. You can cut little thin steaks like this. There's nothing wrong with it. And you can get it juicy, but it's a lot harder. So again, just straightening up the edge here. Looking down the pork chop. If anything ends up crooked here, it's my own fault. So I can see that's not perfect. But we just got to adjust and adapt as we go. And then this last one here. Sometimes, I'm telling you right now, life ain't perfect, neither is cutting this meat. And you got to just go for it and not overthink it, because then you're just going to end up, see, that's about the thinnest I'll go, period. Okay? So I got, that one's similar to the other ones. You got to go for it, because what ends up happening is you overthink it, then you screw it up, just like anything in life. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We got 6 really nice thick pork chops. Now, you know, like with these, you want to just make sure that if you're going to deep fry these or fry these on a pan, that you absolutely know for sure that it's cooked through all the way. You don't want to put these in a scalding hot pan. That's the biggest mistake people make, and then it ends up black on the outside or dark brown. As my wife is laughing because she knows what I'm talking about. So you got to watch out for that. And otherwise you're going to just burn the outside of the meat. And this is just cooking 101. And you're going to end up having raw pork. That's something you definitely do not want, is raw pork. Now I'm going to tell you something. When I do the entire Ling Lang, the whole roast, I like, they say 145, nothing below internal temperature. Personally, I like mine cooked all the way through. Pink is okay. Light pink. 145, you got it, you're good, you're cooked. Always double check if you use automatic thermometer. We got some of the best ones and they're garbage. I'm not saying they don't work, but they're not great. So we double check with other thermometers. Easy way to solve that problem. Just cook it to 160 internal. Let it rest at least 20 minutes. You know, seal it up in one of these containers I showed you. You know, pull it up, put the lid on. I'm using my other black one I got cheap at Sam's for 15 versus 50. And just let it rest inside of there. You can put a piece of foil, keep the heat in. All the moisture will reabsorb, and when you cut it, it's going to juice everywhere. If you look and you go onto my public page, you can see pictures of some really beautiful, really gorgeous, juicy slices of the actual roast on a mashed potato bed, and that's actually the actual juice. I didn't pour that on there. That came out of the actual cut, and after it had rested and let all the juices reabsorb to the middle. So you can get some really beautiful stuff out of it. Based on what I saw, I did go back to number 1, and I like the other one. I might trim it up for the actual roast. These are nice and thick, so even though I like the other one was wider, it's too flat. So we're gonna make some more pork chops because we really like pork chops. And we got plenty left for a roast. I was thinking originally 2 roasts, but then that just leaves us with the pork chops I just showed you. So number 1, just want to make sure it's flat and square. The wife wanted some a little thinner, so I got to obey. I don't want to get in trouble. So there's a little bit, I mean, you see here, it's a little thicker than this one. These are a little thinner. So we're going to make a couple more thinner ones. You got that one. See, those are nice and thin. You approve? Yeah? Okay. She approves. So I'm going to cut this one like this. And it's just going to leave a little piece at the end. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to get one more thin one out of there. It's got a little bit of billy in it. So we can take our smaller knife, trim it. See that? Look at that. And this, we'll just put that in our trimmings pile for ground or Chinese food. A little bit of sweet and sour pork. She reminded me that's what it was called when I forgot. So we ended up, these are really nice. I mean, I love the roast too. That's what I was telling her off camera. I love the roast. I do, because they just go on and set it, forget it. On my Traeger, I got the Traeger Pro, the largest one. I think it's the 36. Older model though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So 9 plus I think we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that's 15. These will go together nice. We'll package them separately like that because I got those thick ones over there, and then these like 1/2 inch ones will go in a different package along with number 1. And we'll, like we always do, we're gonna weigh this all out for you. So stack these bad boys up. So that whole first Ling Lang ended up being ribs, pork chops, and stir fry, ground meat, whatever you want, Chinese food, whatever. All right, and then we're gonna go back to the second one. Okay, so this is the one we want as a roast. And look, you can push it together and make it look cool. If you want. I mean, we could have got some more pork chops out of this. Do whatever you want. It's your meat. You can see here, though, I was just looking at these lines. Again, though, it's not the same as it is red meat, but it's not the same as the beef. So you can cut that up. Or if I want, I could just string this whole thing. That's something else. If you don't have a smoker, you don't need one. You can just go ahead and tie some food string around this, which is cheap. You can get on Amazon. I got a whole roll for a couple bucks. It's not expensive. We went so long in life without it. We've even used yarn that we had and stuff. Don't recommend that. But we've done it all. You know, you got to use what you got, especially if you don't have much money and you're trying to stretch it and make a budget out of it. You know, this is so much meat. And look, it's under 50 bucks for 2 of these things. We were going to buy 4, but I thought we'd just start with what we have right now. Wasn't sure we had enough bags to do all this. So we'll just leave this whole, and I'll string this up to make it nice and pretty. And you can put this on a roast with some potatoes and, you know, carrots and all that stuff too. Some chicken stock or some vegetable stock, and you can just braise this too. So, you know, do what you want with it. So this one will stay whole. We'll leave this one whole, and then the other piece we had at the end, the harder part, which is this. You can see. I'm gonna butterfly this open, or just pull it. It's falling apart, and then just. Again, this might be the trimmings, the chopped meat, but I mean, this is, you can see it just coming right out there. That's not some bad meat there either. It's nice and thick and make some more pork chops. But we got a ton of pork chops right now. And again, for the price, you know, chop it up, throw it to the cats or the dog if you want. For less than 20 bucks, you can't even get a McDonald's meal for that anymore. And you're getting these 2 giant pieces of meat. So, yeah, I'm thinking I'll definitely cut off this. I'm just studying it. You know, it's on a race, folks. You're not in the freaking NASCAR. You're not trying to make the Olympics here. Just trying to cut some meat. Look at that. You can see that's darker meat too. See that? So some good grain to it too. Even though it's going to be the tougher end, it doesn't mean it's tough. It just compared to the other end. The 2 ends of this loin, this pork loin, you can see all that fat and those fat lines do that. So this will definitely go in that pile. Okay. See, this is a little more stringy. That's actually going to be some good, probably tender once it's cooked down. And there's also tricks and tips. While I'm talking about this, I should have said in my last video doing the top sirloin, if you need to tenderize the meat, there is a way to do that too. We'll probably make a video, but a little baking soda and water and let it sit 15 minutes to half an hour, and then wash off your meat and then season it. We just have done it a couple times now, and oh my god, super tough meat just melts in your mouth. I mean, it just changes the game, because now you can just make whatever you want out of it. And you can have cheap meat, and you can feel like you're in a, 3 Michelin star restaurant. That almost looks like a chicken breast the way I opened up. You see, I did better cutting that one up. Use a smaller knife, had a little bit more control. So it's optional. I mean, I can just do the same thing, make some more ribs, or we can cut this up and just pile all that separate meat together. So I mean, I can always do that. Just take this. Yeah. I like to start from the bigger side if I'm going to do it. I don't like how it's not square, because you're not going to get full meat out of that. Okay, set that aside. Again, this is the only time you probably want to be cutting towards you. It looks pretty nice. I might cut up this later. I think for right now, because I like the idea of having the ribs. And here's some prettier ones than my last one I cut open. It got away from me a little bit. No, that's my excuse. But I think I'll leave that for ribs, and then I'll just pile up. Look at that. So that's what a sharp knife looks like. Pile all that up into here. And so this one, we're going to do something with anything. And you don't have to do this at all. It's just fun. Just something different. I want to lay these guys out. Trying just to make sure I got room for the big piece here, so I can just display it all for you. And then we'll leave this one as the roast. Normally we keep like 2 to 4 of these in the freezer if we're just at the store, because for us, Sam's Club's over an hour away. So anyway, here's your roast. Here's your ribs. We got 2, 4, 6 pork chops, thicker cut out of it. And then this little pile here is probably going to be just under a pound. And we'll just add it to the other one. Usually I separate them out so I can keep track of everything, know when I need to get more. But in this case, this stuff's so cheap, I'm not as worried about tracking it and making sure to portion out all the sizes correctly. So, okay, so this is the larger one. This one ended up being 8.9 pounds. So, just over 8.5 pounds. For $1.98 it was actually, so it was a penny off per pound. Now, I know back in the South and Midwest and East, some places, you're going, oh my gosh, because you guys pay way less for pork. For us, this is a really good price. I mean, either way, look at all this meat here. This is just one of them. And so I'm going to set this one aside and bring up the other one on the cheap tray. There you go. And you can see here. Now I stacked these up already, but you already saw them separate. And so this one came at 8.5 pounds. So 16 and change, and just over 17 for the big one. And you can see all the meat here, what we got. So you figure, under 35 bucks. Or right around there, just over 35 bucks for all this meat. And we'll get this bagged up right now and then continue the video. All right, so the smaller pork chops, the smaller setup, thinner cuts, are 3 pounds 3 ounces, so 3.3 total. All right, so our first mock boneless ribs, we'll just call it 2 pounds 10 ounces. And so, you know, they actually came out looking good professional like that. So I highly recommend doing it like that, even though it was kind of just slid away on me. But it looks good. I like them. Okay, so the first pile of cut up chunks of meat for ground and for whatever, sweet sour pork, basically 2.8 pounds. So the second meat's been added on top of this, totaling 3.5. But what I can tell you is it's 0.75 pounds, or just 0.75 ounces from the other cut, because there was very little trimming. So we're putting it all in one bag, but we're going to denote that on the bag. Okay, so this is the thicker cut. These are the 6 thicker cut that I did from the big one. And it's 2.8, so 2 pounds, 8 ounces of just the simple pork chops. Boneless ribs, 1.11 pounds. So this next one here is going to be the actual roast. And it is 2.12, so 2 pounds, 12 ounces. And that will be the end of it. That's the last of the big one. So this one will be the actual roast we put on the smoker and cook as a whole. 145 internal is bare minimum. I like mine at 160. Just FYI, when you're doing this, and double check with your thermometers. You definitely don't want dry pork. Okay, so we broke these two up in the pair. For the first one, I think it was thinner slices of meat. So we're going to just call this one 1 pound 11 ounces. So just over 1.5 pounds in the first package of, looks like 4 of them, and then we have one more. Okay, so here's the second one, the thinner chops. This is 1.10, so again just over 1.5 pounds of pork chops. It has the extra one in, so it's 5 in there. All right, so the verdict is in. We have 0.75 from this one that goes with this roast, this whole loin, these 6 pork chops, the thick cut, and the boneless ribs. So all in all, it's basically partially of that bag in the bottom left corner and all that. That's the big one. That came out really much lower. We got 8.5 pounds from the butcher, it said on the label. And in fact, this came out 6.8 pounds. I have a hard time because how tightly they wrap the cryovac and there's no juice, hardly, that we're that far off. So it could be my scale too. I will double check it later myself. But that's a lesson right there, folks. Check your meat, because if it is off that much, you know, they're getting you. Even though the meat's cheap at $1.98 a pound, that's still almost 2 pounds under. It's not right, because we weighed the other one, which is now most of that meat, the chuck, boneless, and we got the thinner cut pork chops out of there. So that's basically all that. Okay, and that added up pretty closely to it, but it's still off. It was just over 7 pounds, and that one was actually just barely 8 pounds. So it's a lot closer, a little bit more believable with the juice that it might be, you know, literally less than a pound off. So as you can see, the discrepancy between the bigger one and the smaller one at the same scale, same time, the difference is huge. So that's the issue we have here. So we'll be looking further into that one. All in all, here's everything all processed. So here we go. Here's everything you get for about 35 bucks. All these awesome cuts. Thanks for watching my video, and we'll be doing more of these. And if you have any questions, just ask. As you can see here, great prices, right? Prices are great. Cryovac bag is tight, not a lot of juice. So when we weighed those out, I was surprised that one was off so much on the weight, and the other one was a little bit off. So it made a little bit more sense, but I feel like their scale's not accurate. Anyway, good luck to you. Have fun.